Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. 50 years after Vietnam, what happened to the old soldiers who fought the war, the old hippies who protested the war, and the old journalists who reported the war? For the next few weeks, we're taking a look back at Vietnam and the Carolinas, how the war divided us and changed us, and how we're still different today because of it. Carolina Impact's Jeff Saunier begins our series of reports on Vietnam and the Carolinas in Uptown Charlotte.
Yeah, out here at the Mecklenburg County Vietnam Veterans Memorial, you can reach out and touch the names of the servicemen who died in Vietnam. You can read a history of the war, too. But it's not the same as hearing about the war from the soldiers who were there.
A young man from Georgetown, South Carolina. He's a very much decorated Marine, Lieutenant Cleve McClary.
It's 1969, and Cleve McClary is just back from Vietnam with half an arm, a missing eye, and a story to tell.
You have never lived until you nearly died. Maybe that doesn't mean a great deal to you. It didn't to me until I nearly died. Now I know why I want to live.
Only one more patrol.
And almost 50 years later, well, his cards and letters from Vietnam tell a story too.
That was the patrol. That's the card.
About 10 or 12 of the enemy, what we call a SAPA unit, probably better known to you as a suicide squad, started running up the hill. These men had grenades tied around their waist, grenades in each hand. They were running up the hill, just exploding, throwing grenades, trying to kill us.
We were on our 18th patrol and on Hill 146 about 1:30 in the morning when we started getting hit by mortars and incoming grenades.
As I got nearer, another grenade came in. As it did, I threw my hand up, it exploded, it blew my left eye out, my teeth on the left side out, both eardrums out 100%, and I lost a good bit of use on my right hand.
They were all over us before we knew what was happening. I wound up with quite a lot of shrapnel in my right arm and both legs.
A couple other grenades came in and took the legs out from under. As I was going through the air, all I could think of was, man, where's my shotgun? As I reached back for it, I realized my left arm had been blown off by the blast. I lay there, it seemed like hours. I never wanted to live so bad in my life. If I could only see my men get off that hill alive. If I could see my wife one more time.
And it was just a wave of ovation. They start standing from the left all the way to the right in applause. And what a homecoming for Dad.
Tara Reeves wasn't even born yet when her dad gave that speech, or when he wrote those letters from the hospital, or when her mom wrote him back.
It is horrible to have your only love far away and hurt.
I owe a great deal to my wife, probably more than any man here tonight.
Please know that no matter what happens, Cleve, I will be here waiting with longing and open arms to care for you and love you for the rest of our life.
My wife has been with me every step of the way, and I really love her and thank God every night for her.
Good night, my darling, and please don't worry about a thing, please. I love you the mostest, Dee. You know, she was like, I want to know. I want to be able to feel what he felt because she just loves that intensely. And that was probably the best therapy for my dad.
Do you think because your mom was so upfront about your dad's injuries that it was easier for you to understand what happened and why it happened?
Oh, I do. I'm so grateful for the gift my parents gave me in terms of being able to talk about anything. Is your dad a pirate? Asked a little curly-haired girl waiting in line at the grocery store. Daddy smiled. He let the girl look under his sleeve and touch the black patch over his left eye.
Today, Reeves, who lives in Davidson, writes children's books.
Thank you so much.
Including this story of what it's like when you're a little girl and your dad's an injured soldier.
No, I answered. He's a veteran, a hero. And he married one, too.
Yeah, the story of Cleve McClary and his family is a compelling one, but there was actually a second South Carolina Marine in that same battle, on that same hill in Vietnam, on that same night. We found Private Ralph Henry Johnson here at the Beaufort National Cemetery.
A black Marine, PLC Ralph Johnson, jumped on a grenade, smothered it with his stomach, and gave his life to save the lives of 2 boys with him.
Cleve McClary talked about Ralph Johnson back in 1969, and he still talks about him today.
A lot of grenades came in, but one came right next to me, and Johnson jumped on it and covered it. So he gave me my life. So I guess I've dedicated my life to thanking other men like you for what he did for me.
And my dad never speaks that he does not hold up Ralph's picture in remembrance to what his sacrifice was.
What Johnson did on Hill 146 in Vietnam for McClary and the others in his patrol earned him the military's highest award, the Medal of Honor. His portrait's in the Medal of Honor Museum at Patriots Point in Charleston, where Ralph Johnson grew up, where you can see
he shouts a warning that he throws
and hear about his heroic actions, and hold this replica of Johnson's Marine dog tags. The Navy's also launching the USS Ralph Johnson, a destroyer named in his honor.
Usually, I'm not lost for words, but today I am. It's a little emotional.
Helen Richards, Johnson's sister, spoke at the ship's christening.
I know my brother's looking down, and he's saying, like he would always say, "Why make a fuss over me?" He was quiet, caring, loving, and giving. No matter what it was, if he had it, he would give it to you.
But here's what Johnson's sister didn't tell this crowd. She also works at the Ralph H. Johnson VA Hospital in Charleston, a longtime volunteer, caring for all these veterans who came home from the war, all in memory of her then 19-year-old brother, and the others here with him in Beaufort now, the ones who didn't come home.
I love my brother. I wish he was here, but I know he's in a better place. He's among angels.
Ralph Johnson's sister told the captain of that destroyer that was named after him that he'll always be there, watching over the ship and its crew. And Cleve McClary, well, he's in his mid-70s now, still traveling the country, telling his inspiring story to churches and veterans groups. A war hero speaking on behalf of all the other war heroes who can't speak for themselves. Amy?
To see more reports about local people impacted by Vietnam, go to our website, pbscharlotte.org. There, you'll find our half-hour special, Vietnam in the Carolinas.